It might, okay, yeah. It might make it a little bit easier to. One second. 1 second. Okay, Hare Krishna. So, let's go to the beginning of Nectar of Devotion. Nana Shashta Vichanana
Pranippunam
Kanakana Sambhavam
Sadharma Sanstapa
Sarvavo Lokanam Hitakaruna Trubhavane Manyan Saranya Karo Radha Krishna Padada Vinda Bhajanam Nandila Matalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Ragayugo Shri Jiva Gopalako Vande Rupa Sanatana Ragayugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. So I, from respect for obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri, let me just go back, sorry, I just was. Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing, studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of, because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental and loving service of Radha and Krishna. Okay, so then we go to chapter 49, and we're on ghastliness. Okay, let's see.
47, I think.
It's 48 actually.
48.
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
48.
And we're beginning from ghastliness. Yeah, yes. So let's hear
Yeah.
about ghastliness. I see some hands raised. Good. We've got 4 hands there. Let's Sahachari Mother, your hands there. You can read.
Ghastliness. It is understood from authoritative sources that an attachment for Krishna, because of feelings of disgust, sometimes present a ghastly ecstasy in devotional service. The person experiencing such ecstatic love for Krishna is almost always in the neutral stage of devotional service or santarasa. A description of ecstatic love caused by ghastliness is found in the following statement. This person was formerly interested solely in the matter of lust and sense gratification, and he had perfected the greatest skill in exploiting women to fulfill his lusty desires. But now, how wonderful is that! This same man is chanting the names of Krishna with tears in his eyes, and as soon as he sees the face of a woman, he immediately becomes disgusted. From the indication of his face, I would think that now he hates sex life. In this mellow of devotional service and ghastliness, the sub-ecstatic symptoms are spitting upon the consideration of one's past life, contorting the face, covering the nose, and washing the hands. There is also trembling of the body, forcible twisting of the body, and perspiration. Other symptoms which may be present are shame, exhaustion, madness, illusion, frustration, humility, self pity, restlessness, eagerness, and stunning of the body. When a devotee lamenting for his past abnormal activities shows special symptoms on his body, his feeling is called ecstasy in devotional service in ghastliness. This is caused by the awakening of his Krishna consciousness. In this connection, there is the following statement. How can a person take pleasure in the enjoyment of sex life in this body, which is a bag of skin and bones, filled with blood and covered by skin and flesh, and which produces mucus and evil smells? This perception is possible only for one who is awakened to Krishna consciousness and who has become fully cognizant of the abnormal nature of this material body. A fortunate child in the womb of his mother prayed to Krishna as follows: O enemy of Kamsa, I am suffering so much because of this material body. Now I am trapped within a mess of blood, urine, and liquid stool, within the womb of my mother. Because I'm living in such a condition, I'm suffering great pangs. Therefore, O divine ocean of mercy, please be kind to me. I have no ability to engage in your loving devotional service, but please save me. There is a similar statement by a person fallen in a hellish condition of life. He addressed the Supreme Lord thus: My dear Lord, Emerald has placed me in a situation which is full of filthy and obnoxious smells. There are so many insects and worms surrounded by the stool left by different kinds of diseased persons. And after seeing this horrible scene, my eyes have become sore and I am becoming nearly blind. I therefore pray, O my Lord, O deliver from the hellish conditions of life. I have fallen into this hell, but I shall try to remember your holy name always, and in this way I shall try to keep my body and soul together. This is another instance of ecstatic love for Krishna in an abnormal situation. It is to be understood that any person who is constantly engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, has attained a transcendental affection for Krishna, and as such, in any condition of life, he remains satisfied simply by remembering the Lord's name in full affection and ecstatic love. In conclusion, it may be stated that ecstatic love for Krishna and ghastliness appears during the development of dormant neutrality into developed affection.
Okay, that finishes that chapter 48. So, any comments on this or questions?
Okay, Prabhu, what does it mean by during the development of dormant neutrality into developed affection? I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, I think it's referring to, as we discussed before, Shantaras is kind of dormant, neutral affection for the Lord. Let me just whereabouts are you reading that? Which paragraph?
Sorry, just the last sentence, just the
Sentence,
the
okay.
very last sentence.
Yeah, of neutrality. So that's referring, as far as I can understand, to Shantaras. Then that will then one is that's mentioned in the next chapter as well, actually. In Shantaras, say there's meditation, and there is some there is some desire or to render service or to please the Lord in some way, or there's some affection there. That's what it says. So from Shantaras, one develops affection for the Lord. Yeah, Shantaras, and though it's not mentioned directly, but it seems what's being mentioned here is there's a verse by Yamanuja Acharya, yeah, where Yadavari Mama Krishna Tita Pada Vinde Nanava Rasa Damriti Unvantim Asit Yadavari Badi Nagi Sagame Smaramane Natustas Nastivanam Cha. I think got the last line wrong there. But we're familiar with that verse where Yamanujacharya was a great king, and he had lots of opportunity. He had many wives, had lots of opportunity for sensual enjoyment, and then he became a devotee. And we're familiar with the term. Whenever he was thinking of his past activities, his lips would curl in disgust, and he would spit at the thought. Or Prabhupada say he would spite at the thought. Prabhupada often quotes that verse. I think you're kind of familiar with it. He quotes it more than one time in the Bhagavad Gita. But interesting how Prabhupada here doesn't directly mention Yamanujacharya. And perhaps this is not the exact verse, but it's very much like it. Yeah.
Prabhu,
Yes. Yeah. So
Prabhu,
yes.
could it also apply to people who are not conscious of God, generally, quote unquote? And this could be applicable, like something tragic happens, that it awakens their feeling that there is somebody higher than them? Could that be applicable to that? Because it's dormant, isn't it? It hasn't come out.
Yeah, you could say like when people reflect on the miseries of material existence, sometimes they have this rasa of ghastliness. So if they're very fortunate, then it may lead to some level of God realization or dependence on God. And I'm thinking of someone who, a very famous prostitute, Pingala, mentioned in the
Yes,
Srimad Bhagavatam.
yes,
You
yeah,
know that story where
yeah,
she had complete, she was so disgusted about what she was doing or trying to do to attract customers. And something happened that the Lord within her heart gave her some transcendental knowledge where she could see that what she was doing was very abominable. And she became immediately detached from her situation. But she had, if you read her prayers, it's definitely uh, ghastliness,
yeah.
yeah, where she's reflecting on her own life. And
That's
actually,
Haridas
something,
Thakur as well. Haridas Thakur, wasn't it the Haridas Thakur when the when uh, the people who were against Krishna consciousness sent a woman, and she just kept waiting, and then she converted to take him. Wasn't that Haridas Thakur?
yeah, I don't know how it exactly connects to ghastliness, not from Haridas Thakur's point.
No, no,
Oh,
from
oh, I've got with you. Yeah, you
yeah,
speak about the prostitute herself.
yeah,
Yeah, she had a
yeah,
change of mind
yeah,
in his association. Yeah, and
yeah,
she also was reflecting on
yeah.
her degraded life. Yeah, very good, very good point.
Grari the hunter, would he be one?
Thakur as well.
Yeah, that's another one. Magari the hunter in the association of Narada Muni.
And
He
Bilvamangala Thakur.
Bilvamangala Thakur is another one. As yeah, he was reflecting on his
His
attachment to
behavior.
the opposite sex.
Yeah. And his behavior when the father's rituals happening, how miserable he was. He never wanted to attend to that even. He was just like hurrying up, telling, hurry up, I have to go, you know.
Yeah, that's the elaborate story on
Yeah.
Bilvamangala Thakur. But yeah, it's so we can see it does play a role. Sometimes it plays a role when one is practicing devotional service, and also it plays a role sometimes before one is practicing devotional service, and may inspire one to take up devotional service. And that's what, in one sense, what the material world is for. For someone who actually comes to the conclusion that this is a nasty place, this is a ghastly situation, then the material world has served its purpose. If that person has association of devotees, of course. But if that person is not pious and they don't have association with devotees, they will just take to various types, they will not change their lifestyle. They will just try a different version of material life and become more entangled.
I have a question, Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Here you said Shantaras. So Shantaras is the first,
Shantaras, that was in regard to the question.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that means that is the first rasa for anybody who is coming to Shantaras is the first one, isn't it, Prabhu?
Well, it's not necessarily that everyone, in one sense, for the yogis
Uh-huh.
and the meditators who are
Yeah.
meditating upon Vishnu, that may be where they start.
Okay.
And then, as mentioned here, if they're blessed by devotee, then they develop affection for the object of their meditation.
Yeah.
And if they're blessed by the association of devotee, then it might develop into dasyaras. But it's not necessarily. I don't know if you got the context of your question right, but it's not as if everyone to become Krishna conscious, you may you may
No, Prabhu.
Shantaras.
No, what I was trying to ask is, like, even I'm not talking about the practicing sadhakas. Like if you say from the Hindu background, you are not, you don't think like how Krishna conscious devotee think, but they will have some love, some affection for, oh, I'm going to keep milk Gopal Gopal. I'm going to, that is,
Okay.
I, I was just
Yeah,
thinking that,
interesting. That's kind of moving. It's interesting. You could say someone just comes to the temple and they just take darshan,
yeah.
but they don't offer any service. They don't offer any boga.
Mm,
So you could say that's shantaras. They're quite neutral. And people do that. They come to the temple and they sit in the temple room and we see a lot of people come to the temple room, they sit there and they meditate because
yeah.
it's a nice atmosphere. So you could say that's shantaras. That's an interesting observation, yeah. But then they see people coming in and putting flowers on the altar.
Mm,
So they oh, I can do that. So that's Dasyaras. They
yeah.
moved on to Dasyaras.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and then you could say, because we could speculate a bit here, philosophical speculation, say then they develop friendship with the devotees. So Sakyaras. But
Yeah.
I think it probably has to stop at Vatsalyaras and conjugal love, the
Yeah,
example.
no, no, not that much. No problem. No. I was
Yeah.
just thinking this.
Yeah.
So thank you.
But probably we have all, to one degree or another, it's one of the aspects of becoming self-realized, or one of the aspects of becoming Krishna conscious, is that when you reflect on your past, depends if you come from a pious background, perhaps not so much, but even though it might be there, as a sense of dread of what you did before. Yeah, and that's a good sign. That's actually purifying. That's good. That's kind of that helps. That's
I feel
good. I don't think
shameless.
feel like that.
I
Yeah,
feel very shameless.
yeah. Like sometimes when I think of what I put my parents through when I was a crazy teenager, I think, God. And the other things I did before I came to Krishna consciousness. So that's needed actually. That's good. And as we become purified, only then, when we look back on the past with a purified heart, can we see it for what it really is. Oh, that was really what I was doing then was really abominable. I was really covered.
And Prabhu, gratefulness come with that, isn't it, Prabhu?
Yeah, then you're grateful for what you have and the lifestyle
Yeah.
you have,
Yeah.
and for what Krishna has done for us and is
Yeah.
continuing to do for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so ghastliness is this is how it plays a role in our spiritual life. And interesting, when I was hearing this sounds like quite a specific pastime where someone's addressing Yamaraj, and Yamaraj has put him in a place of filthy and obnoxious smells, a place where there's insects and worms, surrounded by stalls. Now, I was thinking, um, is this referring to the child within the womb? But it's not, because then he goes on to say, I'm surrounded by stalls left by different kinds of diseased persons. So that indicates it's not in the womb. And after seeing this horrible scene, my eyes have become sore and I'm nearly blind. So there's a pastime there. There's someone praying to Yamaraj in a very abominable situation. Um, Perhaps we don't want to try and imagine too much of what that situation is, but it's definitely a hellish situation. And he's praying. Is he praying to the Lord? Yeah, he's praying to the Lord.
Mm.
And it's mentioned in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? I think it's there, the teachings of Lord Kapila, adverse fruitive activities. And it goes through the soul's sojourn within the womb again. And sometimes the soul, fortunate soul, prays to Krishna in that abominable situation. Well, it depends which way you look at it. For the mother, it's a wonderful.
Actually, you don't really have to imagine that situation. I mean, right outside Soho Square, there's that public toilet which stinks like a hellish planet.
Yeah.
So it probably makes your eyes sore as well if you hang around long
Yeah,
enough.
that really abominable. Yeah, that.
It's the same when you go to the, isn't it?
Yeah. But Yeah, so this is ghastliness in spiritual life. There we go. All right. Any other questions or comments on this? Otherwise, if you like, we can move to chapter 49. This is a mixing of rasas. And for that, I'm just going to share my screen to make it a little bit simpler for us to try and understand. I think even Prabhupada, I was reading this early on, mentions it's very scientific, which tends to indicate it's very detailed. So a lot of these chapters already have been quite detailed, and this might be the most detailed when we're speaking about mixing of rasas. But Danadas Swami's done a wonderful service, and he's written his ways of devotion. So it allows us perhaps to understand a bit more easier what is going on. All right, so we're ready for chapter 49. Yes.
Yes, sorry,
Okay.
reading.
Well,
So I can see Kunamai with a hand up here. You like to take us into this chapter?
Thank you. Chapter 49, Mixing of Rasas. As already described, there are 12 different kinds of rasas or aesthetic relationships which are shared with Krishna. 5 of these rasas are direct and are listed as neutrality, servitude, fraternal love, parental love, and conjugal love. 7 of the rasas are indirect, and they are listed as humor, astonishment, chivalry, compassion, anger, dread, and ghastliness. The 5 direct rasas are eternally manifested in the Vaikuntha world, the spiritual kingdom, whereas the 7 indirect rasas are eternally manifesting and unmanifesting in Gokul Vrindavan, where Krishna displays his transcendental pastimes in the material world. Very often, in addition to one's regular rasa, there is found the presence of some other rasa, and the mixture of these loving humors is sometimes compatible or palatable, and sometimes incompatible or unpalatable. The following is a scientific analysis of compatibility and incompatibility of mixture of these various rasas or loving moods.
Okay, just before you continue, so if you look at this chart here, now, excuse me, Rupa Goswami and Prabhupada is now they're going to be speaking about Shantaras is the first one. So this chart is basically what we will be reading. So I was looking at it early to try and understand. So the first Shantaras. So we know what Shantaras is. That's the meditative yogi, might be. So Dasyaras. There may be some Dasyaras there. Out of affection, may one desire. Interesting. It is compatible if someone's in that rasa. Ghastliness let's say ghastliness to reflect on the material world. So that's compatible with that Shantaras. And heroic religiosity. So they do very strict vows of sadhana, yeah, the yogi. And abhuta, astonishment. That's also compatible with Shantaras. So what's not compatible is quite, this chart makes it quite easy. Yeah? What's not compatible in Shantaras is conjugal love. Yeah, they haven't developed spiritually to think about, meditate, or appreciate, or definitely not to enter into. And chivalrous fighting, that's for which rasa is that for? Vatsalya?
Friends.
Yeah, that was a test. It's definitely not Vatsalya. Not some Mother Yasoda is not having chivalrous fighting with Krishna. Anger,
Friends.
yeah, anger is not compatible with the meditating yogi. Or fear. I think we read about Shantaras, is that one is free of fear. It's mentioned Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, that someone should be situated in a sacred place, free of fear, completely free from sex life, etc., and meditating upon me. So what's neutral? So that means it may be compatible or it may not. Yeah, it may be or it may not. It depends on the specific situation. So friendship, parental, interesting, laughter. So it depends on the particular pastime. It it may be compatible. So that will depend on the particular lila or pastime, or it may not. All right.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Adbhut, what can you said that, but can you say it again, Prabhu? Astonishment? It's referring to what?
Astonishment. Did I meant? Oh, here.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, astonishment. Yeah, what can we say? Let's just meditate. And what could astonishment be? For someone that Shantaras. There could be astonished at the power and grandeur of of the Lord.
When
Okay.
Arjun saw the Virat Roop,
Virat
that
Rupa, yeah.
Hmm.
He's in the mood of well, there actually he was. His relationship is friendship, but interesting. The universal form. Then Arjuna kind of comes out of the rasa of friendship.
Yeah. He doesn't want to.
Interesting. Yeah, he kind of he retreats from that. He feels fearful of that rasa of friendship with the Lord. And yes, a good point actually. Then he comes into, you could say, more shantaras, where he's astonished. Yeah, that's very good. You brought that up. That fits it very nicely.
And it goes with the fear also, Prabhu, because but it cannot be there.
Yeah.
Bhayankara.
So
But
like,
he was Bhayankara. He was fearful.
yeah. So so he stopped being a friend of Krishna at that point, in one sense. And he asked, "Who are you?" And then he asked, "Please show me that form again, that two-armed form from which nectar comes." So then the astonishment may not be there in the same way. At least he can function in his relationship with Krishna again. But during the universal form, he couldn't function. It was just too much. So he was like the yogi, astonished. Yeah, very nice. You could say that. Astonishment. All right. So, all right. So you can continue reading, Kunamai. You just read 2 paragraphs there. So, what?
When in,
Go on. Carry on. Yeah.
when in the rasa of neutral love, santaras, there are found traces of ghastliness or astonishment. The result is compatible. When with this neutral love, there are manifestations of conjugal love, chivalry, anger, or dread, the result is incompatible.
Hmm.
When in the ecstasy of serving humor, there are manifestations of dread, neutral love, or chivalry, such as dharmavira and danavira. The result is compatible. The ecstasy of devotional service is chivalry, yudhavira, and anger are directly produced by Krishna himself. With the ecstasy of fraternal love, a mixture of conjugal love, laughter, or chivalry is highly compatible. With the same fraternal love, a mixture of dread or parental love is most incompatible. Although there are gulfs of differences between them, with the ecstasy of parental affection, a mixture of laughter, compassion, or dread is compatible. With the ecstasy of parental love, a mixture of conjugal love and chivalry or anger is incompatible. With the ecstasy of devotion in conjugal love is a mixture of laughter or fraternity is compatible. According to certain expert opinions, in the ecstasy of conjugal love, the feelings of chivalry, known as Yudhavira and Dharmavira, are only compatible additions. According to this view, except for these two humors, all other manifestations are taken as incompatible with conjugal love. With the ecstasy of devotional laughter, a mixture of dread, conjugal love, or parental love is compatible.
Let's just perhaps, I think perhaps we stop there because
It's quite.
yeah, it is, but because Dhanada Swami has pulled it all out here and put it into sections which may be easier to kind of understand what's going on. So he's just described the five principal rasas. So let's have a look at, as we looked at Shantaras, let's have a look at the next one. So Dasyaras. So the mood, what's compatible there? Dread. I think that's told in. Perhaps we can try and recall specific pastimes in that regard. Um, dread, I think in Dasyaras, I think if we remember rightly, sometimes Krishna, because his servants a little bit. I mean, they serve Krishna. He has. Remember that it's quite a long chapter, wasn't it? There's the servants of Krishna in Dwarka. There's the servants like the demigods. Then there's his servants in Goloka Vrindavan. You know, and the servants even in Goloka Vrindavan, they don't have the same exactly. They cannot interact with Krishna the same way that Krishna's friends do. They are the household servants. They're the ones who's grinding the sandalwood paste. They're the ones who's collecting the firewood. They're the ones who are cleaning. They're the ones who are doing all. They're serving in the household of Nanda Maharaj, say for example. So one time Krishna started to relate with one of the servants in a very, very friendly way, and this servant became a little bit unhinged. He felt a little bit dreadful. And then dread's the kind of too strong word, but he didn't. He felt strange because it wasn't his rasa. Krishna was like, I suppose in one sense we could say, let's look at from the material example. Say if someone has, say someone has servants in the house, you have a certain relationship with the servants. At least in India, a person like that, servants come. There's an understanding of friendship there, but you just let them come and they do the service, and they do what they have to do. But you don't have the same relationship as your best friend. Yeah. So Krishna started to relate to one of his servants in a mood which was not, which he couldn't relate to. So Dasyaras. So it may be it is compatible for these servants to feel like that. So you follow what's going in, and Shanta, new neutrality. I guess there's pastimes to illustrate all of these. I'm not sure. Yeah, Rupa Goswami does go on to explain pastimes, to explain some of these, but not all of them. So in Dasya, servant, heroic religiosity and charity, Dana and Danavira, that we read about. I'm thinking of Daruka, Krishna's servant in Dwarka, the one who is fanning Krishna. You know that story where he was fanning Krishna, meditating on Krishna's qualities, seeing his beauty, etc. And he was overwhelmed with ecstasy. And he asked that those ecstatic symptoms not interrupt his service or not would stop. So anyway, that's a very heroic position to be in. One says you're Krishna's servant in Dwarka, and Krishna's a powerful prince of Dwarka. And astonished, that one's quite easy to understand in Dasya Ras, one's astonished. Let's read this. When in the ecstasy of a serving humour there are manifestations of dread, neutral love, or chivalry, the result. So that works. You could say it works. Yeah, and it just enhances the relationship. These things enhance the relationship. Things that won't enhance the relationship, which is incompatible, is these ones here. Yeah, this one is not compatible for a servant. He's not going to gain his chivalrous fighting with Krishna. Incompatible. Yeah. Sometimes we reflect it, and again, this is all reflections. Here in the material world, we, we all operate in these different rasas with different persons, with friends. And sometimes it might be that someone who's a little bit distant to you relates to you in a way which is not according to your relationship. So you might find it a little bit strange, you know, like when someone comes up to you that, you know, that you hardly know, and they start revealing their secrets, or they start asking you about what's going on in your household and things like that. You know, you may only know them very generally, just for how how are you, but if they start relating to you as intimate friend, it's strange, no? It's because it's the wrong rasa. You know, it is not compatible. Yeah. But if a friend, if a dear friend comes up to you and says, "Well, you look, well, what's happened at home? You look really," but they start asking questions about your private life because you don't look so, you know, you look like there's something upset you. That's done from a friend. It's not done from someone who's neutral. So you can understand this what Rupa Goswami is describing here in relationship with Krishna and neutral here. So let's have a quick look at these. Then we'll go back to reading. And then Sakuras. Oh,
One before that?
oh, did I miss one? Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, no, we did
Oh,
that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So Sakuras. So friendship. Hmm. How how is this one compatible? You could say.
So,
Well,
Madhuri has got all the rasas anyway, hasn't
I'll
it?
ask a question. Yeah, yeah. Go on. Say, Chandraval.
Madhurya conjugal has got all the, you know,
Rasas.
that
Yeah,
level.
that's
They've got
correct.
all the rasas anyway.
Thank you. Yeah. So the gopis are very friendly with Krishna or Radharani. So that ras, as you mentioned, actually let's have a quick look at Madhurya ras. Okay, because I'm thinking everything would be there. But here, yeah. So that's very good. So in Sakuras, obviously there's especially the cowherd boys. Basically, they're just
We didn't see the Vatsalya.
huh? We haven't got there yet.
Vatsalya.
We haven't got there.
And
Vatsalya.
we're just describing this one,
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, sorry. I thought
Hashiras. So that's very compatible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's someone who's always makes Krishna and the cowherd boys laugh?
Oh, I know this. Our name is not coming.
Madhumangal.
Madhu Mangala.
Madhumangal,
Madhu
yes.
Mangala. He's always creating Hashiras. He's always where did I hear it? Just recently. Oh yeah, Indraduma Maharaj was describing the evening pastimes and how there's entertainment in the evening for Krishna and all the household, and there's like players come on and they play. And
Yeah, I heard that one.
yeah, you heard
People.
that. Very nice. And
Yeah,
then Madhu Mangal gets up on stage and he starts
yeah.
imitating different persons, you know, and everyone's rolling in laughter, you know. So that's very compatible, Sakiras. Um, so here, this is where Shiva chanting is compatible. Yeah, it's not compatible in Sanchiras or Dashiras, but it's compatible in Sakiras. Shiva is fighting. Yeah, and the Buddha also astonishment. I think that's probably it. And then incompatible. So just picture the cowherd boys. They have well, it's not it's in or incompatible parenthood. Yeah. Can we explain that, anyone? How is that incompatible? you might say the cowherd boys might feel a sense of protecting Krishna from the demons. There's a bit of Vatsalya above.
Because the parents are an authority,
Oh, very
like a
good.
senior.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, boys can't be boys with the parents around. So it's not very good if one of the boys start to become like a parent. Like Krishna and the cowherd boys can't wait to get out of the sight of Mother Yasoda, in one sense. Of course, Krishna's always attached to his mother, but as soon as they let them go to the forest, then they start, a whole riot starts. They start joking and playing with each other. Yeah, very good, yeah. So ghastliness, sakiras. Yeah, we just spoke about ghastliness, isn't it? When Krishna, the forest fire, yeah, or when Krishna looks to be in danger, like when could we say was one of the most graphically
Talia
gra-
dance.
no, when the Krishna was in, seemed like in danger, really severely in danger.
Thalia,
Kaliya, yeah,
when he was in
Kaliya,
the
Yeah.
coil.
wrapped in the coils of Kaliya.
And I think Ghastly wouldn't be there because they have full faith in Krishna. Krishna will protect. Any
No,
demon.
no. Well, don't forget, for them, Krishna's not God.
Yeah. No, but
He's the
they
hero of the
like
village.
when the demons,
So,
they quickly say, Krishna, 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 protect us.
oh yeah,
Save
yeah.
us."
From
Remember? So they
that
already
point,
have that faith in that.
they just call
Krishna.
out to Krishna for help. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll help him.
Then anger, yeah, that's compatible. No, it says it's incompatible.
Incompatible.
Yeah, so that means, yeah, so it's not. So friends, interest here is incompatible, and fear is also incompatible. What may or may not be, depending on the lila, is shanta, dasya, karuna, and compassion.
So, Prabhu, anger will come only for Vatsalya, maybe. But
He will
anger,
come from the demons because they're the ones who are angry and they fear him. That's why it's
Oh.
incompatible. No?
I don't know. I thought Madhurya and Vatsalya can have anger. I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes,
Mother
Mother
Let's just-
Yashoda. That's true.
Well, let's just get there.
Radharani
We're still in Sakiras at the moment.
Oh, sorry.
The reason I'm hesitating on here because
Okay, sorry. Okay, Prabhu.
sometimes the cowherd boys, but if think it would be in a very friendly mood actually. They're so-called, yeah, actually, they have so much love and affection for Krishna that no matter what Krishna does with them or to them in his joking pastimes, they will never feel angry towards Krishna because
Yeah,
of their
because
love, because their intimate affection for Krishna. They'll never feel angry towards him.
I was.
you know that pastime when he's dancing so well, and then one of the Radharani's brother tells everybody's praising Krishna, you're dancing so much, so nicely. And then Radharani's brother, but where did you learn from? From Radharani.
Yeah, where
So,
did you learn?
like, they wouldn't get angry. They would challenge him.
Yeah, they would challenge him out of love and affection.
Love. Yes.
More they
yes,
would cause this one, they would cause this one.
yeah,
They would challenge him and it would cause great laughter.
yes.
Yeah, Krishna, you're boasting so much you are the greatest dancer. But just tell me, where did you
Really?
learn the art of dance from? Then he,
Your sister.
yeah, Radharani. Yeah. And fear, it's incompatible. Yeah, wherever there's Krishna,
There's no fear.
there's fear. Yeah, that can apply to us. Whenever we're Krishna conscious, we can be free of fear, isn't it? Sometimes just being in the material world, when we sometimes contemplate our insignificance and we contemplate what's going wrong in our life, and we may become overcome with fear. and anxiety. You know.
I was just thinking that when the coward boys walked into Agasura's mouth, they weren't afraid because Krishna was there. They just walked in.
Yeah.
That's
When
what I was thinking.
wherever there is Krishna, there is no fear. So, I mean, the coward boys take that to the extreme, where they walk into danger or what might be danger. They're completely free of fear.
So Prabhu, so that means there cannot be anger at all in Sakiras. That's what I don't
That's what Rupa Goswami is saying here. So
Yeah.
we will read later. We might not get. Perhaps we'll read later. I'll just touch on this slightly. That's why Sut Damodar, he would read all, because people would come to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with plays and writings and books to actually show him. So Sut Damodar would read them first and look for any incompatible rasas that describes a particular pastime, a particular relationship with Krishna. Now, yeah, these are compatible and incompatible. Right, so let's just have a quick look. We will do some, well, time's going. Perhaps it's good to have a look at this first, perhaps, because then as we read it, we are to recognize it more, you know. So, Vatsalya. So, compatible is laughter. All right, so it's okay if Mavi Soda and Nanda Maharaj are laughing at Krishna.
Yeah, when he puts Nanda Maharaj's shoes on his head and wobbling around.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, very nice.
Or
Sweet
when he
pastime.
can't do something, he shows a face. Oh, I can't lift.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't do this.
Very compatible. Yeah, compassion, very compatible, isn't it? They feeling Krishna going out, and Mavi Soda's full of anxiety because he refuses to wear shoes, and he's going out to the cows, and she's feeling very much compassionate. When she sees Krishna, she thinks Krishna might be in danger. She's feeling very, very much fear. And so here it's compatible. In Sakiras, it's not compatible. But here, Mavi Soda, what's a pastime of her being fearful? I guess there's plenty, no?
Yeah, again, Kalia, serpent, she was very afraid.
Yeah. What about also that's one when Krishna
Opens his mouth when she sees the universe.
yeah, she's astonished and fearful, I think. You could say God she's astonished, perhaps more astonished than fearful. I was thinking of pastime when
Putana.
Yeah,
when Krishna and Balaram are in the wrestling arena of Kamsa. Was Smavi Soda and the residents of Vrindavan there?
Yes.
There was
Because
there.
everybody observed.
Yeah, everyone came. Yeah, everyone saw Kamsa getting killed. And it was after that they returned. So definitely she was full of fear for her delicate, soft-limbed, beautiful son standing before these great Mustaka and Chanura. Is that these great wrestlers of great fear? Not fear for her own self, but fear for Krishna, the rasa of fear. And astonishment. Yeah, we just mentioned that one, isn't it? Krishna looking in the Mavi Soda looking in Krishna's mouth, and she's feeling astonishment. Now, this one is obviously incompatible, isn't it? Obviously incompatible. Dasya. Although everyone, in one sense, acts as a servant of Krishna, but when we start to analyze the specific rasas, Mavi Yasoda is not in the mood of a servant. Yeah, it is incompatible because their relationship is too intimate to relate to Krishna in the same way as a master relates to the servant and vice versa. Because the relationship it's much more. It's a lot. It has more intimacy. So then chivalrous fighting, as we mentioned, definitely not. Anger. Did Mavi Soda ever become angry with Krishna?
Yes.
No, I think
Right?
he would be angry. He
Yeah,
wanted to
Damodar
correct,
Damodar Leela, yeah, I was going to say.
but that
I think
actually
it's like feigned anger.
Yeah, let's just
I
go
don't
back.
think it's real anger.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
so
anger.
Damodar Leela seems to, it seems like definitely Madhya Yasoda is very upset with Krishna. But what really comes forth is when we read Damodar Janani, you can see her every motion actually is of love and affection.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
all out of love and affection. There is no like anger as we understand it, where she becomes freely, where she's going to really chastise Krishna. She's not, because the love and affection, and then she doesn't. You can see her mood really comes out there, Madhya Soda, and although she raised a stick to hit Krishna, she would never ever hit Krishna with a stick. Yeah, too
I
much love.
thought her mood would be was like I need to correct him, you know. He's
Yeah.
my son and I need to correct him.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Show him the right way. Yeah. If I
yeah,
don't do it, he's not gonna grow up as a good boy.
yeah. I guess there's a lot of you, those who've had children, probably you can probably
Yeah.
relate to this a bit more. But sometimes you may go over the mark sometimes and become angry. But Madhya Soda, not so. It says here, Rupa Goswami is saying it, that she doesn't, never becomes angry with Krishna, even if he gives up the most mischievous thing, because the affection is, she has so much affection for Krishna that it
You see that
overwhelms
in
it.
material
Yeah,
world. You see, some parents are really their children
yeah,
are so naughty, yet because their affection is so much, they wouldn't want to correct them. Oh, it's all right. He'll grow out of it or whatever, you know.
yeah. There's, you could really, yeah, it could really, we could get into a
Yes,
big
they just
discussion there
they
where
need to be
this can
slapped
be,
and corrected,
yeah,
but they don't.
yeah.
Especially these days, youngsters, they
So
don't.
one's, you could say some parents may not have a balanced, a really balanced understanding of how to bring up children. And that's kind of might go right off the subject, but that's why we see where traditionally persons live in a village, and you don't just live in a flat or a house on your own. You live with an extended family, so you get to see how the elders relate to the children. You get to observe all the relationships of a healthy, functioning family. But in the West, where we've got nuclear families like nuclear bomb,
Mm.
where everyone we don't have this experience. So often, parents maybe unintentionally be too lenient on their children. There's that Papa tells that story where that story where one person was being sentenced in court for an horrific crime.
Yes.
I can't remember what.
Yeah.
Yeah, bite was
That
it
Yeah.
Papa,
bite your
Like the
nose?
fear.
yeah, and he asked to speak to his
To his
mother. So
mother.
they come close, and I think he bit her ear off, and
Yeah,
she was
something
shocked.
like
Why did you do that? And he said, "Well, if you had brought me up correctly, then I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done these crimes. Well, now having to go to prison." Anyway, so that's what Saliras. Now,
Prabhu, I just wanted to say,
yes,
I want to understand this when you said the correction. It's a lot of selfishness, and even sometimes here, like those days are different nowadays. Like 20 years ago, how the children were brought up is different, very much different to now.
yeah,
And it's I don't know, I see it's a lot of selfishness even among the parents, because they don't want to uh, come out of their comfort zone to
yeah, they don't want to sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, it's a big mess.
yeah,
It's,
lot of,
it can
there
be a
is no
mess.
selfless love, there is a lot of selfishness. I don't know,
Yeah,
I'm seeing for uh, and also I did child minding even like with my daughters, and there's a big difference I can see, you know.
yeah,
It's a lot of so it is a lot of selfishness than selflessness even among parents and children.
yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Mhm. I don't know, maybe I'm
yeah. I mean,
wrong.
you're probably correct. I just don't want to go there too much because
Yeah.
I'm trying to stick to the spiritual world at the moment.
Thank you. Sorry for
Stick to what's going on in the spirit. Yeah, basically, it can be a big mess. It's not like every parent doesn't bring up children right, but often we can see, yeah, people because they haven't been trained by their elders, grandparents. Anyway, so Madhurya Rasa, conjugal love. So let's see what's compatible. Laughter. Oh yeah, for sure. Gopis have many laughter. Sometimes they make grand fool of Krishna, and they laugh very much. Friendship, astonishment. Friendship we can easily understand, isn't it? Sakya, they're very friendly, and that's not incompatible. There's many pastimes where the cowherd girls and they're in the Madhurya Ras and they're laughing. Sakya and astonishment. Where is astonishment there, could we say, in Madhurya Ras?
When Krishna planted the pearls and he got like lots of
Yeah, really good.
pearls.
Nice pastime, yeah. Astonished. Yeah, Krishna was, yeah, I was astonished that he grew into pearls. Yeah, that's one pastime. Astonished. So, we could say it was astonished. Well, let's think of another pastime. Where in Madhurya Ras.
Say, when some pastimes when he hides the flute and then gopis find him the flute in his clothes, so they realize that it's Krishna in some of the pastimes. Is that, can we
Yeah.
call it as astonished or?
Yeah, you could do. I don't know. You might do. I was thinking of one astonishment. I was thinking when Krishna. I don't know. Could it be astonishment when Krishna has the audacity and the audacity to actually steal the clothes of the young gopis and hide the clothes and astonished at his audacity, but inside they were relishing it to have such an intimate familial relationship with Krishna, because I was praying beforehand to have Krishna as a husband, and then he's relating to them like a husband, you know. And so they was astonished from one point of view, but relishing, yeah. All right, so then
Prabhu, when Krishna left, what is that rasa? How they felt it? It's is it also there?
that one you could say that's more than an astonishment.
Yeah.
That's outright. He could say fear is the wrong word, but shock. He could say that's extraordinary. That when Krishna leaves, I mean their mood is. I mean it's not written here. Well, it could say, yeah, but their mood. What could we say the mood would be when Krishna left? Shock is one.
Devastation.
Devastation. That's a wonderful description. Yeah, devastation.
Yeah.
Devastation. As though it's not mentioned here exactly, but I think we can perhaps conclude. Yeah, that is and it's not something which will be seen all the time. But that particular Leela, that would be the rasa. Yeah.
They completely lost themselves. They couldn't
Mhm.
remember talking
But
to
then,
trees.
but then, as you know, Krishna manifests to the gopis every evening, and they thought it was a dream. It was over in Ras Leela, and goes on. So it wasn't like, yeah, very deep, isn't it? It's very deep. We can really get into it, isn't it? Really deep. The next time we read a pastime, you can start to analyze what's the rasas going on here. What's the mood? What's the relationship with Krishna? You know, it's never like, as I mentioned before, it's never like static. It's always flowing. All these different rasas and all these different pastimes create these different rasas and different. That's why it's very interesting. Like when you got the cowherd boys and they're in one rasa, and when they meet with the cowherd girls, there's a whole rasa and their arguments and their things like that. There's a whole other types of rasas manifest. All right, so then we got, and then what's neutral? Yeah, servitorship, compassion, chivalry, and anger. Now, well, we just read a couple of paragraphs today, so we'll finish. We can read next week. But some of these, this description of rasa I was reading about, sometimes there's different opinions from our acharyas. Yeah, there can be quite some discussion amongst acharyas about the difference of compatibility and incompatibility of different rasas. So you could, if you really want to get into it, you could really look at that as well. Let's just see what it says here. There are other opinions of which rasas are compatible with Madhurya. According to certain expert opinions, in the ecstasy of conjugal love, the feelings of chivalry, known as Yuddha Vira and Dharma Vira, are the only compatible additions. According to this view, except for these two humours, all other manifestations are taken as incompatible with conjugal love. Yeah, this is why I was saying it, because I read this earlier. This is not the opinion of Rupa Goswami. Right? So there can be some differences of opinion. Right, so that's the main rasas, and then Rupa Goswami and then Dana Goswami will then do the same for all the other 12 rasas. The main 5, and then the other, is it 11 or 12? Then the other rasas, you describe that. All right. All right, it's 7 o'clock.
Do that also, Prabhu? The
So,
other ones?
any last questions? Or?
No, the Hasya Rasa, all that. Are we going
That's
to do?
the what's the word that was used again? I just forgot now. There's the main rasas. What's the name for it? The main 5 rasas, and then the
Primary and secondary.
primary. Yeah, thank you. The primary rasas we have just described, and then Rupa Goswami will then describe in the same way the secondary rasas. So we can have a look at that next week. Yeah. So sorry if you had your hand up and didn't get a chance to read, but it was too much. Nice, isn't it, bringing out Krishna's pastimes to match these different rasas and compatible or incompatible. Okay, so we're finished there for today and look forward to next week when we can continue being scientists of rasa ability, trying to understand and appreciate the loving relationships with Krishna. Okay, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Happy Ekadasi.
Hare
Hare Krishna.